Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is Manchild. Alright, so today for review, we finally got a chance to look at the new Masterverse movie Beastman figure, or the Beastman that was inspired from the 1987 Masters Universe movie. I remember like it was yesterday being a kid, going to see that for the first time, how exciting that was. And then coming out of the theater and being a little disappointed, didn't have a work going Battle Cat. None of the characters looked like the animation, or the characters in animation or the toys we collected. Had a whole different style and look to it, going back to what Mattel did and the William Stout, I believe. Mattel did put out some movie figures as well as Super 7, but they never got to Beastman. And of all figures I'm most excited to see, or did want to see, is Beastman. Mattel also put out a Saurod. That was another really cool one in the Classics line, and hopefully we'll see a Saurod with the Masterverse series, because he was one of the coolest characters I thought aside Beastman in the movie. Anyway, I gotta say in hand, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty decent for what the Masterverse doing as far as design, paint, and sculpt, from what I can see. In this limited window, and again, so this new Beastman comes on these newer cards or boxes that the last few Masterverse waves are coming on with this, limited window. It's still enough to see the overall figure, the head, maybe a weapon or two. Has some cool art on the left-hand side. So yeah, we have Beastman in a roaring pose, or getting ready to, looks like, battle out with the, I want to say, the Royal Guards from the movie, it looks like. On the right-hand side, that, what's that? Looks like the Man-at-Arms. That'd be cool to see him in teal as well. I have a feeling we'll be coming to this line. And then, let's see, spinning the box more to the, again, left side, we have that skull from that Techno Castle Gray skull that was also seen in the movie. And now, here's a quick look at the right-hand side box, looking in from the window of just, Beastman in a walking pose holding the sword. And then you have him with his the open mouth, battle ready face, want to call it, up on the top. Yeah, I wish this figure would have came with a second head with an open battle ready head. That would have been cool for Beastman. I don't think he does. And now here's a quick look at the back of the box. So yeah, we just have a picture image illustration of the main figure himself. Again, Beastman, just a battle ready pose holding the sword. It looks like over here, okay, he has a little, it's not a sheath, but it's a band on a belt that the sword can go into. And looks like you also give him a couple of open hands, which that's pretty cool. Because you remember from the movie the part when they went through the porthole, went into the high school. And I remember hitting a janitor in the face or something like that through the closet with them open hands. So it's interesting you get those. And now here's a look at the short bio. You want to pause and read that. And then dropping down, these are all 4 figures as part of the Wave 13 Masterverse series. And then taking a quick look at the left-hand side of the box, looking from the window. So of course that's just the picture image overflow of Beastman from the front. But if you notice, they show Blade down here as well. And I thought that they showed a teaser image of Blade coming for the Masterverse series at San Diego Comic-Con a couple days ago, which that would be cool to also see him as part of this series. Okay, so here's a quick look around at a new movie Beastman out of package. I gotta say, he's a pretty cool looking figure for the Masterverse series. Once I got him out of the box, he looks like large, like a bigger figure, but he's not, I don't think. And once we compare him later on with the Masterverse, He-Man, Skeletor, and stuff like that, and then couple of the Beastman figures, we'll get a better look. And of course, we get the armor off. Because I went and rewatched parts of the movie again with the fight scenes with Beastman anyway, right on YouTube, and it's hard to tell. When he comes into the picture, he seems like a larger character, but in fight scenes, he's not, because everything was in the dark. It was difficult to tell, and because I kind of thought he would have like a larger chest, going back to the new Eternity Beastman. And to be fair, I don't think that's what the overall design of the character was in the movie, from, again, the shots I rewatched. And now, taking a little closer look at this new movie, Beastman's head and face sculpt. Yeah, it came out really cool, I gotta say. It looks a lot better in, hands under my lights than when it's in the box or the early images. They did a good job with the overall sculpting, all the fur, the face, the eyes, the teeth, the different shades of paint they got going between this skin on the main face and, again, the fur. Yeah, great. Really good detail in the eyes. They're like very blue. Again, I don't remember what they were in the movie. Everything was so dark, but it's probably accurate, close to it. I like the way they had the mouth sculpted open with the teeth showing. I think I would have preferred a second head as well, as already mentioned, or maybe the mouth in more of an open position, a battle-ready face, for a creature, figure, character like Beastman. But, all right, worse. It could be worse. It could have sculpted the mouth all the way closed with a couple fangs showing. Yeah, you got the heavy eyebrows, you can see, and then, yeah, it's just such an awesome, the details are really awesome in the overall sculpt of the hair around the face. Now, you can see some ears protruding there, which is cool. Part of the sculpt painted. Let me see. So spinning him around. All right. So in the movie too, so you had a braid with a ponytail. So they do have that sculpted in, but it's not. I think it would have been cool if it was like this own sculpt, and you can move it back and forth. I mean, not the worst thing. It's not something I would normally do, but you don't have that option. So it's all part of the sculpt. What I'm saying. Now, as far as the articulation with this face or head, yeah, it's gonna. I think it's really gonna hinder the movement just between how far the hair sculpted out and the neck and the armor comes up, up. So, all right, to articulate the head, let's see. So, see to look left, go to the left. That's as far as it's gonna go. So, see to turn, and then you can force it, and you get this big gap. It pops off the neck almost. And then looking to the right side, same thing. Gets hindered by this hair. All right, and you could look forward or go down. It's about as far as you're going to go down and back. You can look up. It's pretty decent how far you can look up, I guess. And you can see where the hair stops and how it hinders it. It's not bad, Yeah, it would be cool if everything was fur like a Grizzlor. I didn't expect that from Masterverse. Or this was soft, and it's not. This is a really hard material as far as the sculpt around everything. But, all right, so the other thing I want to do real quick is pull the head off and see what's underneath the neck. Okay, so there's our ball peg. And you see that? It almost looks like the Revelation Beastman neck, something like that, with that forward-going posture from what I can see. Again, once we get all the armor stripped off later, we can take a better look. And before we put the head back on, here's a little closer look at that head off the body. So I just want to kind of show how far that socket for the peg goes up inside the neck. You can see that, how far the fur comes down, and see how soft this is. Yeah, that's a really hard, I mean, it's flexible, but that is a really hard piece of plastic with all the fur. So once again, putting the head back on, moving down to the chest and butt area, taking a closer look at this armor. That's really cool armor. I really like it in person now. Yeah, in the movie it looked very dark, or I couldn't get a good look at the overall colors, but this is what they went with. Yeah, great design. Everything, it's like a big steel. It's almost like multiple sections of armor that would normally be on his chest. So you can see some fur coming through. So I guess that's supposed to be, even though it's a separate piece, more like the fur on his chest, and these are the plates that's somehow hooked onto the shoulder straps or something in his belt. But it's all one piece for this Masterverse figure, so yeah, you can see the fur coming through. Yeah, you got all these individual, like, extra reinforced plates, painted like a jade, like a greenish jade green color or something like that. And you got some dots that are actually sculpted outward and painted white. I don't know if that's supposed to be lights or electronics in the armor. Again, going back to that movie, everything was so technological. Like, look at the Castle Grayskull. So I'm assuming that's what they are. But yeah, really cool piece. Now you can see that. All right, so the straps go over the shoulders. You got the, let me turn them around. All right, so you can see how it buckles on the back. Yeah, see more extra fur that's supposed to be part of the body, but it's separate. You got the plates in the back here. That's, okay, so they would be attached to these buckles. That's, I guess, the concept of it. And, all right, so with the head back on. So I'm going to leave the armor on for now, and then we'll do a complete breakdown. Usually I pull the head off, do the armor, work the figure down, but I'm going to leave it on for the articulation. But it is really neat. I do like this, the design of it. And let me see how flexible. Okay, and that's the very bottom. And then you can see the little holder here for the sword, which I'll show the sword in a little while. Try it. So moving on to the arms. Let's go on to the right-hand side first. Yeah, that too. You got these shoulder protector pieces. They're, okay, also attached to the main armor. Yeah, you got some cool spines up here. Bones. They're really soft and painted white, obviously, or like a bonish color. Pretty cool. You got extra, it looks like these could have been some kind of turtle shells or something on the Eternia, and that's what they used to reinforce the armor, like in a bronze color, kind of, not gold, but yeah, it reminds me of some type of shell. Then you got extra, some type of cloth protection here that's obviously on top of the shoulder. And so everything's identical obviously on the left and right side. And again, you got some more fur coming down. I'm assuming it's supposed to be part of his body. So as far as the articulation with the arm, let's see. Okay, so we can go all the way out. And again, these are flexible enough and separate. It doesn't hinder that. Down. Go forward, back. And yeah, when you go forward, these kick out, obviously. They don't move with the arm. I mean, you can reposition them once you put the arm forward like that. So that's pretty cool, okay. You can bend up at the elbow to the face. Right, straighten the arm out. You can move all around. Then you can see now with the overall arms, yeah, they're Beast. Okay, so they are, at least this part looks like a Beastman, a Revelation Beastman arm. They have some extra lacing that's bandages that's, yeah, sculpted, painted, right? They're not separate. And same thing with the forearm. Now the forearm looks like a normal, is it a Beastman arm? No, it's hard to tell. Could be, or just a regular arm with new, like a newer sculpted forearm. But again, it's just all bandages sculpted on it, painted, same thing. And the left sides are all the same from what I can see so far. But right now I'm just focusing on the right. So Beastman comes with two, semi-open hands. See the nails. They're not painted to match anything, which I might paint them later like a dark brown just for effect. And these can spin, right? The hand, and let's see, it has a hinge joint. So it goes in and out, and then the other side does the same thing. And then jumping back to the left arm real quick, as I already mentioned. Yeah, so these all look the same as far as these bone pieces. A turtle shell, I'll call it. This cloth, or maybe it's supposed to be some type of chainmail now more look at it with the fur. Yeah, move up, they, obviously bend up the same way, or attach the armor. Now, the other thing I noticed too with these arms, I probably should have mentioned with the right, they don't have a bicep swivel, but you can see that. So yeah, it's a whole new arm, like very similar to the Revelation Beastman, but it's different. And this definitely is different for him. But same thing, has the lacing, and the articulations are all the same. And then the other thing I want to point out too, he does come with these bracers. We'll take a better look at these soon, and I'll put them on the arms, but I have to remove the hands. But for some reason, they left them off in the package. Okay, so moving back down to the lower ab and waist area. So he does, even with this armor on, he still can move at the torso cut, the articulation up in there. So he has that cut, and you can, with that piece, man, you can spin a little bit left to right. It's going to get hindered by this strap around the armor. You can bend forward about that far, and again, it gets hindered by the armor and back. He can spin at the waist. So if you see, he also has some extra fur that's sculpted that's supposed to be part of the body going down, but this is a separate piece, almost like it's part of the loincloth, the overall loincloth. So he has the blue, yeah, furry kind of shorts, the loincloth. This goes over that, and I bring that point up because if you wanted to remove this, it's a procedure for removing the loincloth, which, yeah, that's, you got to heat it up, separate them at the legs, pop this thing over. Yeah, it's kind of difficult if you've never done it before. He has some kind of artifacts or like little ties on this. I don't know what these are supposed to be. Almost looks like this could have been a weapon at one time going around a belt or something, like a braided whip maybe, coming around. You can see like those steel ball bearings on the side, and that's where you would hold it maybe. Or maybe it's just some kind of trophies and artifacts. And it's like cast in a brass collar, so it's different from the fur. Let me see, is it underneath the belt? No, it just comes through the fur, and yeah, that's just how they sculpted it. I don't remember that in the movie. Now he has some more of these hip protector plates, again, very the same style as the armor. And yeah, they're really flexible. Okay, so they're attached to this fur piece, and you can see that they're plugged. Now they come off. Not normally. They're plugged and glued in. So if you wanted to remove them, you'd have to heat this and break the glue apart maybe, or yeah, get into a loincloth removal to get this piece off the body, which I wouldn't remove them. They look cool, and they don't hinder anything. So, okay, we already said you could spin at the waist with that. All right, it's back. So moving down now to the legs. So this is interesting. He has this protector. Yeah, new style protector pad on both the left and right side. Looks identical. But what's interesting is that, all right, so he has like Beastman legs. Like, I want to say the Revelation Beastman legs or something similar to him, but yet it's a different sculpt. So part of this upper protector pad piece is sculpted into this newer thigh piece. See that? So that's not going to come off. And it's the same on both the left and the right side. And then with this piece, though, it looks like these can come off. So you can spin at the thigh, but it seems like to remove, is this removable? Yeah, so you have the strap that's holding the lower part on both sides, but then you have this upper piece that holds this on inside this thigh cut. So I'm assuming to remove these, you would have, let me see. I don't think it's going to come off easy. Yeah, it's a big peg, and these are sometimes difficult to remove. And when you heat them and you take the leg off, which I've done, you put it back, sometimes they don't seat right and you get a large gap. So you're a little sloppy as it is. Yeah, I'm not going to remove them. I don't see any reason to. But they are removable. And to do it, as I said, you would have to pop this leg apart. And it looks like this whole pad would push up. It would, yeah, you would pull it off the leg, not down. That's what I'm assuming anyway. All right, side that, it is a cool design. Looks like something that would be on in a sane asylum room on the walls or something. The type of padding. All right, interesting design. So moving down. Oh, excuse me. The other thing too I noticed is that he does have those drop joints and hips. So that's kind of cool because see that it pulls it out. It does make the figure a lot taller now. But when you do that, you get these big ugly gaps unless you hide them with plates or something, or customize some fur in there. Yeah, they probably should have brought this piece down more for that. But to be fair, they're probably going back to the reference in the movie. So with these pads on and the whole setup, I'm going to leave the drop. I'm going to put the joints back in. As far as the articulation with the legs, you can go out with a split. Let's do that. All right, kick forward, go back. All right, we know you can spin at the thighs. Already mentioned I can come off to remove this pad. Bend up at the knee. Other sides are all the same. And yeah, these drop joints are already falling out. They're really loose. Okay, and then moving down. So, then we got these newer style, looks like Western boots or something. Pretty cool. I like those. You can spin at the boot. Again, if you want to remove these and put different boots on from another Masterverse figure, you can. Larger peg, very similar to what's up in these thigh cuts. And then you got some fur coming through the boot here, I guess. Or is it supposed to be like separate boots and sections? I don't know. I think it's just a piece of fur coming around or something through. Yeah, and then you get the cowboy style boot, right? On the upper part of this boot, main boots. And as far as articulation, you can bend up. You can go up, down, rock side to side. And these are really tight. That's the other side. Okay. Up, down, rock side to side. But it is a cool design. Again, I really like the colors. I do like this pad. Would have been neat if they should have just made another strap like this to pull it down. But then it would probably slide all over the place. And, yeah, I like them on. I think it adds something different to this Beastman. So, moving forward, taking a closer look at the new movie Beastman's weapons and accessories. So, yeah, he comes with those, spare pair of the open hands for the left and right side. Again, you can see the nails are not painted, and the hinge joints go in and out, and they're origin-style pegs. So he does come with those. And now here's a closer look at those gauntlets or wrist bracers. That's going to go on the forearms, and it looks like it doesn't matter. They look identical for the left or right side, but here's a closer look at one of those. Yeah, really good detail. You can see just the plating, the scales on the top. These are the straps that are going to go underneath, and it also has the 3 rows of spines or bones on the top. And again, yeah, that one looks exactly the same. And then for his last accessory, he gets the movie-inspired sword, or looks close to that anyway. And taking a closer look at that, yeah, really good details on it. You can see that it's just very mechanical looking again. Technological looking from the emblem inside where the lower part of the handle is. Has some type of logo. Alright, so take another look at Beastman once again. You can see obviously I removed both hands. Again, they're origin style pegs and they pull right out. I had to work. This side got stuck a little bit and I had to work back and forth. But let's put on these bracers. So with the hands off, alright, put this one on that side and the other bracer or gauntlet on the other. It doesn't look like they matter. Right, you can see like in the movie, the lower part is going to go on the lower part of the arm. Oh, it fell off, and it's going to look something like that. And then I'm going to put the weapon grip in hand again. It's on the right side. I'm right-sided, by the way, right-handed, so I always do everything from the right. Snap that in like so. Okay, we know how that articulates. And then on the other side now, I think I'm going to put one of those the open claw hands for something different. And now there's an overall look of Beastman with both gauntlets on both of the forearms. Of course, put the hands back on. Right, we already talked about articulation. You got this open striking hand or just open hand. And then lastly, with the gripping hand on the right side, let's put the sword on that hand. And now there's a quick look at that setup. Yeah, we have our Beastman in a battle-ready pose, right? Sword in the right hand. Now we have both gauntlets on. I left the armor on, which we're going to take off next. And yeah, there's not much else to him. Would have been cool if he come with a blaster. None of the Masterverse figures come with a blaster from the movie side He-Man. I'll bring him in soon. I'll show you. He should have come with one of them. And then, of course, we could put this other hand in, to replace the sword hand, semi-open hand if you want. I'm not going to bother. I mean, I don't know what else I'm going to do with it, but it does have the striking hand. And then the last thing, too, is to remove the sword. Right? And we'll do that, get that out of the way, and then it can go right in a sheath. Alright, so we went over everything with Beastman as far as accessories, the sword in hand, changed out one of the hands, right? The articulation. So now next thing I want to do is remove what armor pieces we can. It looks like the only thing we can really remove easily is the main armor. Again, remove these leg protectors. You're going to have to remove legs and boots. You know, if you want to remove the boots, you can do all that. We know how the hands come out. The gauntlets are already put on. I'm not gonna remove them again, I don't think. But anyway, let's remove this main armor. So to do that, right, we got these two little snaps in the back. We're going to pop both of those. And then it looks like got to remove the head again. And then with the head removed, looks like the whole armor piece is going to come right off the neck like so. And now here's a little closer look at that armor off the body. So, right, it's the inside. We know how it straps and buckles. We know the little holder for the sword, which obviously I removed the sword. We're familiar now with these shoulder guards. Now these can also come out of the armor. See, they're just plugged in. It looks like you won't have to remove them. Okay, you push it out like that. See, you would separate them right off the shoulders. But I like them. I'm going to keep them on. So they do come off easy like that. And then you push it right back on. And right back again. Another look at the back and everything. And that's pretty much it as far as this main armor piece. So taking another look at Beastman once again with the head back on, obviously. And of course, we removed the main armor. And to remove everything else, it's, yeah, process. As I'm not going to do aside the gauntlets. I'll leave them on. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Look how small that body is. So it's like an early style first or Revelation buck, but it is different. It's sculpted all with fur. Now, I wanted to bring in the Revelation Beastman from the cartoon. Yeah, mine has some custom classic shoulder guards up there. But the main point is, I thought this would be the same buck, or at least as big, and it's not. This Beastman's actually bigger. And this is not even a new Eternity one. I can't believe how small this is. Wow. Yeah, completely different. How about the neck? Even this neck is posture forward. You can see I cut the back piece off of this because I used the classics. This is the spare armor that goes over the neck. And it does work on him. I think I showed that in a review. Now the next thing I want to do too with the head off, with the main armor off, is let's pop this head back off. I'm curious if you can use the classics armor, whether it's this one, right, which matches pretty good, or this is the new Eternia spare armor that came with the new Eternia Beastman. So let me see if that fits. That actually looks better because it matches. So let's go with that one. And then if I put the head on before we try to buckle the straps, it's not going to work. Okay, so once again, I messed around with that new Eternia alternative armor. I put it on the movie Beastman. I wanted to make sure it does strap. Look how loose it is in the back. I did get the head on. So if you want to use that, you have very little articulation, as already mentioned, but I just want to show you what that would look like on the figure. And then jumping back over to that spare Classics armor. So whether you had this one out of accessories pack or the orange one from the Classics Beastman, which mine's in card, but this gives you a good example of that. It drops over the body and fits perfect on that the overall buck. You can see that. Looks good too, but again, the head, see that? There's no way because of these bone spine pieces that's going to go down. The only way you can do is you'd have to customize and cut some of his hair out or something like that maybe. Yeah, then you're going to really sacrifice a lot of the figure. Let me see. If you could though, and it sat on top, it's pretty much what it looked like, but for the most part, it's not going to work without customizing with the Classics armor. It's a shame. And now, jumping back over to the first release, Revelation Beastman from the show. So I did obviously put the movie Beastman armor on him. It does fit, and I put the head back on. Now, these things are, yeah, I kind of glued them to set them on the biceps. They could still work. It doesn't hinder these shoulder pieces. It actually looks cool. You can remove these, but here's a problem because of the bigger buck. Yeah, look at that. It's not even close to trying to put these straps together. So it can fit over the body, but when it comes to the back, it's not even going to work. Snap these together if you wanted that. Go for that look. So next up, I brought in the first release Origins vintage inspired or 80s inspired Beastman figure, right? Because Beastman, even though the movie Beastman just went with a whole different design, color. But of course, I put the armor on this Beastman and it fits perfect. Looks cool too on him. And it would be, yeah, it'd be neat if you had a brown version of this figure, or you had one you want to paint it. And now that I bring that up, so what if we remove the head from this figure, and is this one going to fit? Let me see that. Look at that. It actually fits perfect. So if you had a brown body, or you want to paint this brown with the armor and his head, you can sort of make a movie-inspired Beastman. Now, again, we can't really do much with the boots, but you can find another pair of boots somewhere in any of the Origins figures and put it on this body if you wanted to. And these things too, you can't, again, to remove them, you'd have to pop the legs out, and then it's not going to work on these legs from what I can see. Maybe the gauntlets too. Yeah, the gauntlets can work on the arms. So, all right, let me put them on, see what that looks like. So I removed the gauntlets from the movie Beastman, put them on this Origins Beastman. Of course, I had to remove the hands, obviously. We have the armored head on, and then I also, as far as boots, I use boots off of the Origins King Hiss, because they're like a light brown color, and they seem to go good. You can use, there's other figures with brown, normal He-Man fuzzy boots. I just like these, but look at that. So you sort of have a movie Beastman aside the orange skin color. So once again, moving forward and trying to make another movie-inspired Beastman off an Origins figure, the only other figure I have or can think of that might be cool is Grizzlor, right? I mean, he has all that, the brown fur all over the body, the head. Obviously, we're going to remove the head. And the sculpted, painted fur on this movie Beastman matches this fur really good, at least the body. Now, this is the Powercon version that came in that Horde 4-pack, so he has the darker, paint on the body. I do have the Mattel Creations one. It has a lighter skin, which would work a lot better for this. I have that one card, but the main point is I'm not going to take that one out, but if I did, this isn't even going to work. So what we have to try to do is put the head on, see if the armor is going to work. That's the most important part. And of course, we know the gauntlets will. And then we can also change out the boots, or you can even leave Horde boots, which look cool. So let me, let's take the head off first, I guess. See what that looks like. All right, so that's our head. We know he breaks in half. So I'm going to do this on camera real quick, so we kind of take a look at it together. Yeah, I don't know with that fur. All right, so the armor goes right over. That's a good start. I'm going to leave the Horde band on, too. It doesn't bother anything. And let's see if I can... All right, let me see if I can get all this together off camera and see if it works. There we go. I'd say that's a pretty good-looking movie-inspired Beastman out of an Origins Grizzlor figure. Look at that. So, yeah, I got the armor to fit. I did have to stretch this one tab on because of the fur, but not a big deal. The head fits on. Now, it doesn't... It can articulate a little bit. You got to mess around with it, but it does work. The shoulder pads go down on the arms really well. Again, you can remove them. Got those gauntlets on both the left and right side. And check this out. Because they're Origins pegs, I just put the movie Beastman hands on. And they look cooler because they're a little larger. And again, they just mixture of colors, just like it was on this body. No different. And I put the King Hiss boots on the bottom, sword in hand. Look at that. That is an awesome Origins-inspired movie Beastman with the parts from the Masterverse figure. And again, you can use different boots from whoever you want, or the Horde boots even look cool if you want to mix them in with the Horde, but I think that's the answer. And even though I have the darker version, it still works because of the mixture of colors. Even if you have the lighter one, which again, mine's in card, that'll even be better. But for now, that's perfect. Make a movie, Beastman out of the Origins Grizzlor. All right, so the last thing I want to do is just try this movie Beastman armor on the Classics figure, right? In this case, He-Man. I have a Classics Beastman, but it's in card. And He-Man has the same buck as the Classics Beastman. Side, has a furry sculpt to it. But I just wanted to confirm that this will fit on the buck of the Classics, and it fits fine. In this case, He-Man, which that looks really cool. Make an alternative He-Man with that armor. Let's see if this snaps. Yep, fits perfect. So if you have a Classics Beastman, got this armor, you want to put it on that Beastman, it will work. Or any other figure like He-Man, it also works. All right, so now let's move on to some comparisons. So once again, we have our movie Beastman. I put everything back on, obviously, and just left the semi-open hand on the right side with the sword, and I'll put that open hand on the left, leave it on there. So, yeah, once again, it's a comparison against the first release Revelation Beastman. So, as I already mentioned, I have some Classics armor on him, as I already tried to put on this one. I have those shoulder guards on, a whip in hand. Again, it's like, we know that with this armor off, he has a bigger buck and a larger design, but this Beastman, because of the armor and the legs, still kind of overtowers him. He does look taller and bigger. It's really deceiving. The other thing, too, is, so yeah, it's like, it's almost the same legs they use aside this newer piece up here with that pad sculpted on. You could see that. And, of course, he has different boots. And then the arms. But he does have larger arms here where he has like a standardized arm, but newer. All right, we already looked at this, and it looks like No, yeah, these are different arms. If you can, now of course I have the pads on. Yeah, this Beastman has different arms, and he does have the bicep swivel, even with this shoulder guard on, where this Beastman doesn't. But that's the difference with those two. And then moving on to the next comparison. So yeah, we have a new movie Beastman against the new Attorney Beastman, which is just a refrigerator. I love how this Beastman come out. I mean, he's really gigantic, and as far as parts, nothing's going to work on this one, or they're going to be too sloppy, and of course, that armor ain't going to work on his torso. Being that it didn't work on the other Revelation Beastman, so let's look at those two. And again, he's really tall, so this one's really wide. If you were to pull out the legs on this one, right, it makes him, yeah, a little bit taller because of the hair, a little bit taller compared to this Beastman, especially if you take this headdress off. Moving on to the next comparison, of course, I brought in a new Masterverse movie He-Man against our Masterverse movie Beastman. Now, my movie He-Man has the Raymond Toys head on, which is just one of the best heads anybody ever made for this figure. I don't know why Mattel couldn't go that route, but they didn't. So that's those two together, and yeah, he comes with a blaster. He's one of the only figures as far as the movie figures. It's very similar to what Beastman should have come with. And yeah, again, it's even though he has a smaller buck, something very similar to this He-Man, but sculpted with fur. He does overtower him and looks bigger. Very accurate to the movie. Remember in the movie when he grabbed him from the back and He-Man pushed him up against the crates or something, they were fighting? Now I look at it, it is accurate. I got to say that, going back to what I seen in that movie as far as size. And then for the next comparison, I want to bring in a new Revolution He-Man against the Masterverse Beastman. So that's those two together, because this He-Man had just a larger chest, newer armor, newer head. So, you know, to have a newer villain against them. Yeah, the Beastman's still larger, and I have the legs all the way in, so that's pretty cool. And then next thing I want to bring in is a Classics He-Man against that Masterverse movie Beastman. That's those two together. So yeah, if you had a Classics He-Man, had this Masterverse Beastman, put them on your shelf together. It looks, he overtowers them. It looks really big, so that's pretty cool. And now for the next and most important comparison, here's a look at the Masterverse movie Skeletor, Masterverse movie Villain. Now we have our Masterverse Beastman. And all three of those together, yeah, he looks cool. Again, he looks like a larger figure. He really overtowers these two. He looks bulkier in the chest because of the armor, even though he isn't. And again, I think it's pretty accurate to that movie. And then lastly, and for a little bonus, I put our movie Skeletor in the new Skeletor Bone Throne. We have Evelyn off to the left-hand side, right? And here's a quick look at Beastman on the right. Yeah, getting ready to follow one of Skeletor's commands. Now I also put the Masterverse movie He-Man blaster in Beastman's hand. Put the sword in the sword holder. But the whole reason why I wanted to bring this in, it's kind of a request of one of the viewers that I should put one of the He-Man heads on the back of the Bone Throne. You can see that, right? So I'm going to move these two guys out of the way, and check that out. So they captured and killed the movie He-Man, in this case the Raymond Toys head, and that's what's on the Bone Throne. I got a sword and a sword holder in the back. Yeah, I made a couple videos on this. It's a really cool piece. The fire effects light up. I took the batteries out. You can go check out the video if you want. And then I made a second video update of trying different Skeletors in the throne that I didn't get a chance to in the first, if you're not familiar. And I tried a bunch of Skeletor heads on the throne. Now, he does come with this skull, which I also tried on other Skeletor bodies, which looks really cool. The way I looked at it was like more like a curse, you know, like if Skeletor was cursed, he would get this bone head, and then the various Skeletor heads would be on top of the throne. I never even thought to make this trophy throne for a He-Man head, as crazy as that is. It was a good idea, but for that viewer, there you go. There's a Skeletor in seat once again, and there's a He-Man head on the throne. Okay, so that's my overall review on the new Master Universe, Masterverse, movie-inspired Beastman figure. You know, I gotta say, having him in hand and taking everything apart, he's really cool. I really like the way he came out. At first I was disappointed, especially when we took the armor off. I was like, man, what a small buck. It's just a typical, like movie, right, He-Man buck, but with fur. I mean, it is new. I expected to at least be the size of that Revelation Beastman buck, which it isn't, but you don't need it. You know, just something with the armor is deceiving. It makes him look larger, and then you got the drop joints. But the sculpting, the paint, everything came out so well in this figure. I like the head sculpt, the fur. Again, it does hinder a lot of stuff. But aside that, no, I think it's really movie accurate. Going back to, again, the scenes I've seen in that film of them fighting. And we have a lot of cool Masterverse movie figures out now, right? We have our Evil Lyn. Of course, I brought in Gwildor. The He-Man came out cool. Again, I needed a better head. I think that Raymond Toys head is the way to go. But now to get one of those, you got to try to find them on eBay, and they're a lot of money. And Skeletor, I think, came out the best. He looks the most accurate to the film. But I gotta say, no, I like the way Beastman came out. It's great. And hopefully we see Saurod, Blade, Man-at-Arms, the new Teela, maybe those Stormtrooper guys they had in the film. They're going full steam with this movie collection from Masterverse, and I have a feeling I'm going to see more. Yeah, I think it came out great. So I appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, take care.